My name is Dr. Femi Egbesola. I am the National President of the Association of Small Business Owners of Nigeria, known as ASBON. ASBON is the umbrella body that caters for the business needs of those in small and micro businesses. We are about 14,000 and we are in 26 states of the Federation. It has greatly impacted negatively on businesses, particularly on micro and small businesses. Yes, bigger organizations have further funds that they can use to provide certain basic infrastructure and amenities for themselves, like security, like power, like some other amenities that they may need for their business to function well. But micro and small businesses do not have this capacity. For that reason, we are worstly hit by the negative impact of security, inflation, and foreign exchange. Let's talk about security first. Many of our members who are into sectors like farming or agriculture have decided to flee from their farms. Many of them are no longer secure going to their farms, so they're already looking for other jobs. In fact, many of them have become other riders, have become petty traders and the rest. For those who are engaging in manufacturing that produces one or two things on a small scale level, before now, we used to send our products to as far as the north and every other part of the country. But now we are limited. There are many areas where we cannot send our products to. Unfortunately, many of those products that are produced by small business owners thrive more in the north because Lagos is very, very competitive. So we go further to hinterlands where we can have less competition and sell our products. But that is not the case now because nobody wants to go that far because of the threats of security. We don't even have money to pay for ransom, while bigger organizations can even afford to pay for ransom. Our people don't have money to pay for ransom. We have had cases of kidnapping and arrests here and there by all these bandits and requesting for ransom. We don't have such money. This has led to the closure of quite a number of businesses at the moment. And it's unfortunate that this is rising. The insecurity is rising. Nothing seems to be done by government. While a lot of fund is being budgeted to security, the effects is not there for us to see. And if it continues like this, only God knows what will happen. Well, it's a tragedy that we find ourselves in a situation like this, where you cannot even predict what the dollar exchange rate will be at any point in time. You go to the market this morning, they tell you it is this. The next morning, it is another rate, which makes it impossible for you to even plan for your business. You cannot have any long-term plan for business. And what's the result of this? It means that jobs will continue to be lost because businesses are folding up day by day. It has been predicted that by the end of this year, about 10% of MSMEs will have closed shop. That is about 4.7 million MSMEs, because about 47 million MSMEs are in the country. That's about 4.7 million MSMEs closing shop. You can say that is actually alarming. Before now, you can even do certain businesses because the dollar is somehow affordable, but now it is not. When you go to the commercial banks where you are expected to get foreign exchange at a lower rate, you discover that the process is very, very cumbersome. Even if you have to go to the process, some takes as many as 10 days before you can get through all the process. You still did not get the fund. You still did not get the dollar. So the time and the money spent for the process becomes a total waste. And this is leading to inflation. You see, the cost of products and services going up every day. Today, you go to the market, they tell you this particular product is this price. The next day, you go to that market, it's another price. And unfortunately, the consumers that are buying these things are not getting more income. Rather, their income is being depleted, meaning that their purchasing power is also reducing. So if I'm a manufacturer and I'm selling 20 products per month before, it means that I will sell like 6 or 7 now because the consumers will not have the power, the purchasing power to buy as they used to do. And it also means that relatively, my profit will become eroded. And what would this lead to? It is either that my business will become ailing or eventually dead. And if it is dead, It means I have to throw my workers into the job market again. And if they don't get a job, insecurity will increase because they will look for way and manner to keep their body and soul together, whether it is through illegal means or legal. They just must find a way to survive. And that's killing. In other countries of the world that are also experiencing inflation, there are a lot of support programs that are being put together by government to ensure that micro and small businesses do not die. We are the engine room of growth, as you already know. We provide as many as 88% of the employment in this country. We have about 97% of all the businesses of this country. So you can imagine this sector holding 97% of businesses in this country, providing 88% of the jobs we have. Now that sector is being threatened. You can see what it will definitely lead to if nothing is done about it. I think government needs to declare a state of emergency in this sector to see how they can arrest the myriads of challenges that we are facing. It's not just limited to for foreign exchange. It goes as far as into total power. Power is not regular. Diesel, the price of diesel is going up every day. Even to maintain a repair generator is also another big deal. The infrastructure is not there. The roads are bad. It's not those that are not bad are being mitigated by insecurity. You discover that you have to provide virtually everything you need for yourself. Multiple taxes are there, and even these taxes are on the rise day by day. New taxes are also being introduced. All these are stifling economic activity and the growth of small businesses. We really do not know what to do again. We are totally confused. We have gone to the press to do several kind of media releases, press conferences, write several letters to government of all strata, thinking that something should be done, at least to help small businesses. We are expecting government to be able to create maybe a window in the banks such that when small businesses need foreign exchange, they can go through that window instead of the general window that is open to big businesses and small businesses, whereby the big business owners can easily stifle the existence and the access of small business owners to this forex. It's killing. And today, you discover that when you bring products to this country, you buy it at certain amounts. After selling it, maybe you bring, for example, you're able to bring 50 pieces of a particular product to the country. At the end of the exercise of selling, that amount you have been able to gather together will not be able to buy even 20 again because the foreign exchange has gone up. It means that your working capital is becoming eroded. And then the access to even the funding is not even there because you would have expected that, okay, if you have challenges like this, you go to the bank. If you remember, the last MPR rating by the CBN, that's about a week or two ago, has increased by another 1%, meaning that the banks also will increase their interest rates again. And if interest rate is being increased, you have no access to the funding. You have no access to foreign exchange, and at the same time, the purchasing power of the consumers is becoming threatened. Then we are in a serious case. We're in a case whereby more businesses will be folding up. In our association, it is unfortunate to mention that close to 20% of our members are no longer in business. They have decided to look for other ways of surviving. Unfortunately, too, some of them have chosen to travel out of this country. It is embarrassing to see small business owners traveling out of this country, either to relocate their small business to another country, or worse still, to go to other countries to begin to do menial jobs, cleaning jobs, or other jobs, just to keep body and soul together. It's very, very unfortunate. Practically, what most business owners are doing now is, one, cutting down their profits to be able to survive. Two, cutting down their capacity to production. If I'm producing, if I have the capacity to produce 100 cartons of a particular product before now, I now produce 20 or 30 so that I can sell, because business is not complete until a sales is made. There's no point producing as much as I can when I cannot sell, because the consumers do not have the powers again to buy as many as they used to do before, or as much as they used to do before. And Another thing that some of us have decided to do is to venture into other businesses. We have decided to look for other streams of income and that can at least put food on our table. So many of us have divested into businesses like agriculture that is easier to do, which shouldn't be because it is more or less also a distraction from our core businesses. And we are also at the same time looking at exports. For every bad situation, there will always be an advantage. The advantage here now is that if you begin to look forward to export now, our product will now be more competitive because of the falling naira. It is now easier for anybody outside Nigeria to say they want to buy products from Nigeria because it will come at a very ridiculously cheap rate. When you have to, they have to exchange their money from dollar to naira. It means they're going to pick it up at a very, very cheap rate, which will be very competitive now in the world markets. So those are the windows that we're exploring. We're also looking at how we can assist ourselves with loan. We have cooperatives here and there that we use to get money, we gather money together, give it to one person, two persons, three persons to go and use, bring it back for another person to also use. These are some of the ways we are surviving at this time. Well, governments through CBN particularly have rolled out quite a number of intervention programs to alleviate the sufferings and challenges of MSMEs. But this has always been a drop in the ocean. For example, like I did say the other time, we have 47 million MSMEs captured by Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. Definitely, we are more than that. But if CBN rolls out a program and the program affects about 100,000 persons, get to 100,000 MSMEs, it's a drop in the ocean. So what was the percentage of 100,000 MSMEs that benefited from that particular intervention compared to 47 million MSMEs? So as many as they are trying to bring to the fore to assist us, I'm talking of intervention programs now, it is not enough because it's not getting to reach as many as it should. And I also want to believe that because even the government itself is broke. At the same time, too, you discover that many of the beneficiaries of some of these programs are not people in the real sector. Sometimes you discover that they are political business owners, not real business owners, that are benefiting from some of these programs that are being rolled out. Also, too, government has not actually come to understand the heartbeats of MSMEs. And the only way they can do that is if they bring along the stakeholders in their policy making. So when CBN wants to bring out intervention fund and they sit on their table, on their chairs to formulate policies to assist MSMEs, and they don't carry along the stakeholders who are the business owners, you discover that there is always a mismatch. There's always some gap that makes it almost impossible for that particular policy or program to have its intended benefits to a greater extent on the MSMEs. And that's why we are always clamoring for governments to include us in their policy making when it has to do with small and medium businesses. So that at the end of the day, what they try to do for us will have its maximum benefit because it will capture our needs and our challenges and we'll be able to address them. We also discovered that government at this time are not focusing on all sectors. They are focusing on some sectors. But what happens to those who operate in the other sector that government is not focusing on? Does that mean that those sectors should become stifled and die off? That's another challenge that government needs to do when it comes to intervention fund. You also discover that there's a lot of bureaucratic bottleneck in accessing government interventions. For example, the latest we have now is the funding for those in exports. They call it non-oil export, RT 200. And it's a very good initiative, but how easy is it for micro and small businesses to access it? That's another challenge. So these are the challenges we have with intervention funds. And when you want to gauge the success of a program, it's not on paper. It's on the streets. You go to the street to see the impact the policy, the intervention has had on the major players. So if you go to the streets today, are businesses doing better with this intervention? Are they stagnant or they are declining? You will discover that they are declining. In fact, many are dying, meaning that this intervention fund, as good as it may be, has not gotten its right impact or to an impact to an extent to actually transform the lives of these businesses from what they are to what they want to be. I will say that as good as that policy also is, it's not really impactful. Through the trader money and the agreed money and the rest of it, you discover that the fund given out is 20,000, 50,000. If you are lucky, the max you get is 100,000. What kind of business will you do with 20 or 50,000 naira today as a farmer? You understand? Farming is not just about manual farming. We have a lot of mechanized farming going on now, whether semi-manual, full automated, or the rest of it. We also have a lot of value addition in agriculture. So agriculture is not just about the manual farming. You have a lot of value addition going on. What impact will 20,000 or 50,000 naira have on that? Then again, when you go to the database of the beneficiaries of this JEEP, they call it JEEP program, of this JEEP program, how many of them are the real farmers? How many of them are the real business owners? I know quite a number of people who are not businessmen that benefited from these things because they are politicians. And why do they have access to benefits? Because it is politicians that are in charge of collating the names of those that are expected to benefit. So when you leave it in the hands of politicians, what do you get? So at the end of the exercise, you discover that out of the funding, perhaps 40, 50% is going to those who are not active in business, and the remaining 50%, which is even not enough before it's not going to the real business owners. So it becomes a challenge. So if government wants to really make impactful intervention in the MSME sector, like I did say the other time, they need to engage the stakeholders so that they can discover the real challenges of these business owners and how well to tackle it. If that has been done in this program, maybe the 50,000 that is expected to go for maybe 10 million people will actually impact just 500,000 people instead of 10 million. They'll be able to have funding that will impact actually on their business, and there will be a monitoring and evaluation process after the funding, such that you'll be able to determine how well the beneficiary used the fund, and if actually the fund is used for the intended purpose, the growth that is being activated by this funding, and then the necessary handholding that the business owner will need in that sector will also be done. And that's the only way you can achieve the best when it comes to funding by government. So by and large, the funding through JEEP, well, it is good, but it is not impactful enough. Thank you very much. To start with, it is a decision of we business owner associations, we call it business membership as organizations, BMOs, to begin to analyze all the political parties and their candidates to see who really has the interest of business owners at heart, who has the capacity to lift the economy of this country, and who really is ready to work with us. Yes, those are the indices we are looking at. And to that extent, it is our decision that from next month onward, that's September, we want to start massive advocacy. We want to do advocacy and what is called PPD, public-private dialogue. We want to begin to advocate for the inclusion of stakeholders in government decision-making as far as business is concerned. So we want to advocate such that whoever party or government is coming into this new government that will be ushered in after the election, we will see need to, one, understand that we are the engine of the engine room of the economy, and at the same time we should be carried along, and that our sector needs urgent attention if this country and its economy wants to grow. So that's the advocacy we want to start. It's going to be massive, where I'm sure that virtually all Nigerians is going to hear about it, because we're going to use all forms of media platforms to advertise it, both the local, the radio, the television, the print, and the social media. We're going to use all of that to advertise it. In fact, we are working on funding now to be able to actually do that to an extent that it will reach virtually everybody. And we will also look for people that can also support us in terms of funding, logistics, and the rest of it. Because this time around, our voice must be heard. And this is the best time for us to carry out this advocacy. And I want to use this opportunity to appeal to Sahara Reports to also assist us with the advocacy we want to do. What we're asking for now is that whichever government is coming in now should include us in their decision making as far as business policies is concerned. We are the one that wear the shoes. We know where it pinches the most, and we're the one that can offer the best advice to government. If we are part of their decision making, so many anomaly, errors, and what have you that is in the system today will be reduced to the barest minimum. And that's the decision of our own personal association, that is Association of Small Business Owners of Nigeria. Well, the final note would be to encourage everybody, particularly small business owners, to make their voice heard. And the only way they can make their voice heard this time is to get for themselves the PVC, and not getting PVC alone, to make good use of that PVC when the time comes. It is time for us to put in power those we feel can do it. And we cannot keep quiet again. So I want to encourage all business owners, particularly micro and small business owners, who form the bulk of business owners in this country, that this is the time for us to rise and speak up with our votes.